Hi everyone, it's Jen again. Hope that you're doing well and that you're having a good week. This past week was a little bit of a surprise. It's a little rough at work, and I ended up having someone reach out to me to do a collaboration, and I thought it would be a good experience to participate, partially because I'd never done anything like this before and I would just like to see what it's like. And then secondly, because I would like to, I'm always looking for opportunities to kind of like help with being a part of like a community around these things. And I do feel pretty passionate about the visual novel medium as a whole. So I thought it would be a good opportunity. And unfortunately, I can't talk too much about it right now because I don't want to give anything away. But I should be able to talk about it more probably by the end of February, if not beforehand. It's been very thought-provoking. And that's another reason why I think it was like a good thing for me to challenge myself with this, because it did get me thinking a lot more and giving me a little bit more focus on like what it is that like I'm trying to achieve, and what it is that I like so much about the visual novel medium. And I think I've talked about it a little bit before on this channel, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit more today, just because I think even though I don't think many of my ideas were like revolutionized, it did help for me to kind of ground myself a little bit more, to solidify my opinions a little bit more, to be able to articulate them a little bit more. So I wanted to start by just talking about how I feel about visual novels as a whole. I think that they are in some ways like the most basic of games. They are the most simplest game elements, I think, that you can have of any game genre. There's a story, and there's choices that require player input, and there's consequences to those choices. I think that is pretty much as simple of a game that you can possibly get. And maybe some would argue that there are other games that don't have a story, but I feel like even the simplest presentation of a game with like just like pixels for graphics, they still have a story of some kind. Those pixels are still representative of something. And even if they weren't, it's our human nature that we would assign meaning. Even if there was no like clear conveyed meaning in them, I think that people would naturally make a story around it anyways. So with that said, I don't think that making visual novels is necessarily easy because they are so simple. They're easy from a programming standpoint, yes. But I wouldn't say that they're easy as far as like making a good game. I think in some ways it's harder to make a good game if you're not very confident in your writing and your art, because there are so few elements to a visual novel at its core. It's so simple. Those bread and butter parts need to be well executed. And if they're just a little wobbly, it's going to be pretty blatantly apparent to the player. And some players may be more lenient and forgiving than others, especially if it's something that was like made at a game jam. But like if you're trying to sell this off, I don't think you can get away with just making a visual novel with like the more like cynical approaches, like, oh, I'm gonna make a visual novel because it's easy, and then expect to be successful because it's simple and it's a saturated market those simple elements need to be polished. They need to be done well. And they need to convey sincerity. Some genres, you can get away with that lack of sincerity if there's just enough like polish in the assets, there's enough to kind of dazzle you with special effects and compelling controls or something. But when it comes to visual novels, I think even if the art is stellar, if all the cornerstones of the bread and butter are not there, it's still going to have a hard time. Because it's not like a genre that, you know, that you could get away with in, like in the AAA space with just like checking off the boxes and throwing money at it. I think there still needs to be a really compelling core idea, not just ideas and story, but as in like your idea of like your visual presentation, like what atmosphere you want to create. Like all those simple elements need to come together to create an experience. And I do think that there needs to be that sincerity, that somebody believed in this idea to go hard. And that's the type of stuff that I think people can feel, even if they can't always articulate like all the things that like can convince you that somebody was going hard on something. But you know it when you play it. It's that human element to it, that you know it when you play it, that despite the flaws, like I was talking about in my last video, despite the flaws, somebody really believed in this and somebody went hard. And that's what I really love about game development. Talk about it sometimes, about how I feel energized, how it's like me time, how it's like, to me, I'm being very self-indulgent and I'm just doing it for myself. Because it's something that I can believe in and I can just go hard on. And I can do that for the sake of no other reason other than I just believe in it. And I want to give it my best and my all. And that in and of itself is enough. And whatever comes from it, it will be. But I had the opportunity to chase an idea as hard as I could. And that just makes me feel human. It makes me feel like life is an exciting and fun experience. Even when there's a bunch of stuff going on in the world, it can't take that humanity from me. Even if I start to feel down and I start to feel like the world's on fire around me, I still can't take away my ideas, my creativity, my spirit, I guess, to pursue these ideas and to chase them as hard as I can. And that's what I want to encourage people to give themselves permission to do. It doesn't have to be through visual novels. It doesn't have to be through game development. It doesn't have to be through art. But if there is something that you can do for yourself, that you can pursue, that you believe in, that you can go hard just for the sake of believing in that thing, not for the hopes or for the affirmation or for the compensation or for any of that, but just because you believe in that idea so strongly that you just want to go for it. That's what at least makes me excited to wake up in the morning, to live another day, and to look back and say, wow, that was a good year. All kinds of terrible things could have happened during that year, but at least I had that. that made me feel alive and made me feel excited to be alive. I think I had more to say, but I accidentally didn't turn on my microphone the first time around, so I think I cut to the chase a little bit more concisely this time around. Yeah. Hope you have a good week going forward, and I look forward to being able to talk more about what I'm currently working on, but again, I apologize, I'll have to wait on that. So I'll probably just be talking about random stuff the next couple weeks. But yeah, best wishes, take care of yourself, and don't forget to enjoy the process. Bye.